Well, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Kenneth West is the pastor at St. Luke Baptist Church on the Oklahoma City limits near Spencer. We appreciate him coming in for the invocation. When he's completed that, I'll ask Councilman McAtee if he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. But would everyone please stand?
We bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for the privilege to call on you in prayer. Father, thank you for our system of government and those who serve on behalf of our city. Thank you for the talents and expertise you've given them. And as you said in your word, Lord, we acknowledge that all wisdom comes from you, so please guide and direct them with your wisdom. Give them solutions to even our toughest challenges. Help them to work in earnest and unity. And Lord, bless their homes to be places you're evident, a place of love and refreshment. Also ask that you care for their families as they give of themselves in our city's behalf. Keep them in your loving care. Thank you for being ever present. We pray and ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Face the flag. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, it is Allied Arts Month, and those here in the chambers and the council and I were able to enjoy the beautiful artistry of Laura Cunningham, who played the violin for us this morning. Thank you, Laura, for that. And we have several civic leaders who represent Allied Arts. Why don't you all come forward, and we have a proclamation that we will read. I'll ask the clerk to read it as we get settled up here.
Whereas the arts enhance every aspect of life in Oklahoma City, contributing to economic development efforts, enriching our quality of life, driving tourism, and exerting a profound positive influence on the development of our youth. Whereas youth arts education helps to foster discipline, creativity, imagination, self-expression, and problem-solving skills, while also helping to develop a heightened appreciation of artistic endeavors and cross-cultural understanding. Whereas the nonprofit arts industry generates direct economic activity of more than $602 million and supports the full-time equivalent of more than 20,000 jobs in the greater Oklahoma City area alone. Whereas Allied Arts has served as a champion of Central Oklahoma's cultural community and has infused more than $63 million locally to enhance our city's quality of life since 1971. Allied Arts impacts an average of 40 arts and cultural organizations annually, helping to fill the funding gap for arts education in underserved schools, healing arts for the sick, disabled, and veterans, and to ensure free and affordable arts programming for all. Whereas the month of February is recognized as Allied Arts Month by the Mayor and Council of the City of Oklahoma City, local businesses, and nonprofits, and the community at large in recognition of the organization's vital support for our cultural community. Now, therefore, Mick Cornett, the Mayor of the City of Oklahoma City, does hereby proclaim the month of February 2018 as Allied Arts Month in Oklahoma City, and he calls upon citizens to celebrate and promote the arts and culture in our community, and to especially encourage greater participation in the arts by all citizens.
Let's show our appreciation to Allied Arts and all of the dollars and the recipients. Holly Nichols, Alexis Carter Black, Deborah Center, Amy Harlow, Tricia Everest, Terry Cornett, David Harlow. Thank you all for leading the way, but actually there's thousands of people across the city that make this effort so successful. They support not only the traditional arts organizations like the symphony or the ballet, which you might expect, but they fund a number of educational opportunities, children who might not be exposed to the arts were it not for Allied Arts. And with that, let me hand the microphone to Deborah Center, who serves as the Executive Director.
And we thank you, Mayor. This may be our last proclamation with you, and we've spent many years with. We appreciate the longtime support that Mayor Cornett has given Allied Arts. And we have just launched the campaign last week, a campaign to raise $3.125 million. And I want to call note, of course, to the fact that we do this through going into the workplaces and letting people know about the transformative power of the arts. And our largest workplace remains the employees of the city of Oklahoma City. So we thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to turn it over to Amy for her to say just a couple words as Amy's leading the campaign.
Okay.
My name is Amy Harlow, and this is my husband, David Harlow. We're co-chairs of the fundraising for this year. As Deborah mentioned, $3.125 million. I've been really involved in the arts in the last 10 years. Oklahoma Contemporary, Ballet Oklahoma, and I've seen it touch the lives of veterans, of children. Art for Every Fifth Grader is a program at Oklahoma Contemporary whereby Oklahoma Contemporary funds these fifth graders to come in every week from the schools and have art. So we're really touching the lives of millions of people in Oklahoma, and it just honors me so much to be able to be in this position and to be able to spread this word. And thank you all for being here today, and thank you, Mayor Mick. David?
David. Well, Amy and I are really excited to lead the campaign this year. We're also very excited to have Larry and Polly Nichols be our honorary chairs. Larry was unable to be here this morning, but Polly is here with us. And really excited to get things going. We got, as Amy mentioned, we got kicked off last week, $3.125 million. We're off to a good start at about, I think, $1.2 million roughly. And so now the hard work starts, but we're excited and ready to get after it.
Let's show our appreciation.
And Alexis Carter.
Hi, my name is Alexis Carter Black. I'm going to condense a 19-year story into about 3 minutes. When my son was in first grade, he was diagnosed with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and also obstinate defiant disorder. I spent all of elementary school and middle school in impromptu parent-teacher conferences, on the phone with teachers, in the office. He spent a lot of time staying in from recess and in detention. When he got into sixth grade, he started playing the saxophone in the band. And it was clear that after we'd gone through lots of different sports activities, counseling, other things, that he was finally finding something that would help him to harness the energy that he was having a difficult time controlling, particularly in school. He was very good at playing the saxophone, and it got to the point where he was even bored because all the other students were behind him. So he started making mischief again. So it started all over again in middle school. When Jacob got in high school, he auditioned for a group called the Oklahoma Youth Winds, and it is actually a part of the Oklahoma Youth Orchestra's umbrella organization, and it's an organization that is supported by Allied Arts. He thrived in the Oklahoma Youth Orchestras. They supported him. They could tell that he was talented and an artist, and he actually grew. And so all of the energy he channeled into playing the saxophone. He was able to have focus and discipline that he'd never had in years prior. This year, Jacob just started his second semester. He's 19 years old at Oklahoma City University. Last year, he received a six-figure scholarship to attend OCU to play saxophone. So the Oklahoma Youth Orchestras and Allied Arts changed our life, and it's changing his life, and he doesn't even recognize what it's doing for him now as a 19-year-old in college. But he is first chair in jazz band, in wind orchestra, in the symphony and the philharmonic at OCU, and so support the arts.
And there are many more just like Jacob that we need to help. We do have a gift for Mayor and the council today, so I hope staff will bring those up. But a lapel pin to wear during February Allied Arts Month.
Wonderful. Thank you. I thought Laura Cunningham's violin was our gift today. It was a gift.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're on item 3 of the council agenda. I'll look for a motion on the appointments. All right, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 4 is a journal of council proceedings. 4A is to receive the journal for January 16th, and 4B is to approve the journal for January 2nd. Any comments or questions on the journal? All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. And item 5 is a request for uncontested continuances.
Mayor, just a couple this morning on page 18, starting with item 9G1. Item G, 3345 Northeast 12th Street. We ask that that be stricken. The owner secured. Item H, 2501 Northwest 14th Street. We ask that that be stricken. The owner secured. Moving to item 9H1. Item F, 3345 Northeast 12th Street. We ask that that be stricken. The owner has secured. And finally, item G, 2501 Northwest 14th Street. We ask that that be stricken. Again, the owner has secured.
Continuances. All right. Revocable permits. Looks like we have one today. Is anyone here with the University of Oklahoma's College of Pharmacy Alumni Association? Come on forward. Are you Lee?
I am Lee.
Lee, we will need your name and address for the record.
Lee Munoz, 629 Northwest 143rd Street, Oklahoma City.
All right. Tell us about the Adrenaline Run.
This is our 6th year. We do the run on the Health Science Center campus, which is crazily hilly somehow. I wouldn't think that, but it's a very difficult course. But we've got the campus police help us out and keep everything running. Right. So we're looking to do it again.
And how can people sign up if they'd like to participate?
Through DG Road Racing, they've got the link there, or at the College of Pharmacy's website, there's a link there through Sign Me Up.
All right, DG Road Racing or through the College of Pharmacy. All right. Thank you very much. I'll look for a motion. It's cast your votes. Passed unanimously. You're good to go.
Thank you.
All right, we'll recess the council meeting, convene as the Oklahoma City Municipal Facilities Authority. There are 2 items. All right, we have a motion and a second on the MFA. Any comments or questions? Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. We'll adjourn the OCMFA, convene as the Oklahoma City Public Property Authority. 2 items.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to move for approval, but I do want to point out item number A, which is a joint resolution approving the term sheet for the lease and management agreement with Langston University, and this is for the Northeast Wellness Center, which is the MAPS 3 Project 3 Wellness Center.
Absolutely.
Really great news. Could I just ask, Manager, what is the revenue model on this one?
Same as the other 2.
Same as the other 2? Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ready to vote on the PPA? I'm sorry, the MFA.
No PPA.
No, I was right the first time. The PPA. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Adjourn the OCPPA, convene as the Oklahoma City Environmental Assistance Trust. 2 items. All right, comments or questions on the EAT? All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. We'll adjourn the OCEAT and reconvene the council meeting with the consent docket. All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any individual considerations?
Mayor, David Wanzer is here to do a presentation on item AB.
Okay.
And
David,
Mayor,
come on up. Go ahead, Meg.
I just wanted to mention 7T wasn't finished.
On T, all right. Anybody else want to speak when David's finished?
Mr. Mayor, AA.
AA, okay. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Council. Thank you for having us today. So this is a quick presentation on the project at 1726 and 1742 Northeast 23rd Street. This is the second part of 2 blocks that we are redeveloping on the northeast side. The first one came before you a few months ago, which is the new headquarters for Oklahoma City Clinic. That project is underway, under construction. This is the second half of that project, which is located at Northeast 23rd and Rhode Island. So this is a commercial development that will be is an entire city block of length, cluster of buildings that were built mostly in the 40s and 50s. Most of them have been empty for a while. So we have purchased this and are working towards a significant redevelopment of the project. There are some challenges with this project we've touched on before, which is just there hasn't been much recent development in the area, It's been tough finding a partner bank for this, which we do have in place at this point. There were some environmental issues with the service station that was across the street. But, there's tremendous opportunity that we have moving forward. This commercial retail component of this project was very integral to Oklahoma City Clinic deciding to come on board and be a part of the other half of this project. They wanted to be around more investment, more development, have things for their employees to go to have lunch, and just know they're not sitting over there by themselves with nothing else surrounding them development-wise. So we do have future restaurants, retail, and office space. We are doing something pretty unique with this project where we're actually giving our tenants ownership in this project if they fulfill their lease terms. So they are a partner in this project. We have over 70% of the building will be minority-owned businesses. Currently, we have 85% of the space with LOIs that are out pending for leases. We have an optometrist that's putting in his third location. We have a pain management doctor putting in his second or third location. We're working with a restaurant group out of LA that has about 30 concepts in LA, and they're partnering with a local restaurant group to open a couple of concepts in this building. We've got a co-working incubator space that will also provide some job training. We have an ice cream shop. We have the second location of a barber shop. So we've got some great entrepreneurs that have established track records that are super excited to go over into this project and anchor this development and hopefully anchor future developments that will hopefully occur on Northeast 23rd because of these projects that we've brought online. Farmers Bank and First Security Bank are our bank partners, and obviously the city is also our partner in this with the TIF request. We are working with the Black Chamber to help kind of name this district. We are working with Family Affair to try to keep them in. They are a current restaurant over there. So one thing to note on this too, before you vote, the banks in the city won't actually close on the loans or the TIF until we're 70% leased, which we're well on our way to getting there. But that's just an important part. Your money's not going in until this is a secure project. So, any questions?
Quick question. Remind us, when is the completion of this project?
Completion of this project, Councilman, should be about sometime in Q1 of 2019.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? All right. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your consideration.
Meg, you wanted to speak on item T?
I did. I just wanted to mention item T. This resolution is actually recognizing a small donation on behalf of the Rotary Club of Oklahoma City to do some repairs on the fountain that's outside of the Ron Norick Library. But I just wanted to recognize the project in total, and I think, Clerk, we may need to make a correction on the original cost of the fountain. It's noted here in the record as $37,000, and I think it was substantially more than that. So I'll do a little research for you if I could and get that number back to you. But I think it was about $160,000 was the original project.
All right, John.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. 7AA is a joint economic development agreement with the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust and MD Building Products. This is for the company. Plans to add 105 new jobs in Oklahoma City over the next 3 years, and they are currently located in Ward 7. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mm-hmm. And Sierra Amir has signed up to speak. Is she here, or am I mispronouncing the name? Okay, you were here in case support was necessary. Understand. So we have a motion and a second. Are we ready to vote the consent docket? All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. All right, we're on to the concurrence docket.
Mayor, we do need to point out that there will be a public hearing on February 15th to address the amendment to the Downtown Maps Economic Development Project Plan. State statute requires that we make that announcement, and that's item 7. 7AC.
AC. All right. On to the concurrence. All right. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is anyone here hoping to speak on any item listed under the concurrence docket? All right, looks like we're ready to vote. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. All right. Item 9 are items that require separate votes. We'll start with a series of zoning cases. The first is an ABC issue in Ward 7 at 409 East California Avenue in Bricktown. John?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Planning Commission did approve this item. Madam Clerk, is anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing that no one is here to speak on this item, I move for approval.
All right, we're voting on item 9A1. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. 9A2 is an ABC issue in Ward 3 at 4420 West I-40. Larry?
Thank you, Your Honor. Has anybody signed up to speak? There are no protests. The Planning Commission approved this unanimously. Unless the council has some questions, I move for approval.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We're voting on item 9A2. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9A3 is a zoning case in Ward 4. The address is 12321 Southeast 44th Street. It's currently AA agricultural, and it would become an RA single-family 1-acre rural residential district if approved. Todd?
Thank you, Mayor. Francis, has anyone signed up to speak on this? Thanks. It was approved by the Planning Commission. I'd go ahead and recommend for approval.
All right, we're voting on item 9A3. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. 9A4 is a zoning case in Ward 6 at 1320 Northwest 1st Street. It's currently R3 medium density, and it would become an I1 light industrial district if approved. Meg?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a zoning case in a area of town that is really beginning to come alive again, right in the core of downtown. There were no protests at the Planning Commission. It is in conformity with the plan and received a unanimous vote of the Planning Commission. I would move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We're voting on item 9A4. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9A5 is a zoning case in Ward 3 at 3300 North Cimarron Road. It's currently I1 light industrial and I2 moderate industrial, and it would be becoming an I1 light industrial district if approved. Larry?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Has anybody signed up to speak on this?
No.
This is in far western Oklahoma City. The purpose is to permit an RV campground site. Since there were no protests and the Planning Commission approved it unanimously, I move for approval, unless you have some questions.
We're voting on item 9A5. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9A6 is a zoning case in Ward 1. The address is 11900 West Hefner Road. It's currently AA agricultural and R1 single family, and it would become a new R1 single family if approved. James?
Yeah, this is compatible with the rest of the area, and has staff recommended approval and Planning Commission. So I'll move for approval.
All right, we're voting on item 9A6. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9A7 is a zoning case in Ward 3 at 8601 Southwest 29th Street. It's currently R1 single family residential, and it would be put into a new PUD if approved.
I don't believe anybody has signed up, have they? No. But I've asked the applicant to come forward because this has got some interesting nuances to it so that you'll be brought up to speed on it. So if you would, Kendall.
Sure. Kendall Dillon with Craft & Toll, representing the applicant, and this is an application that received unanimous approval by your Planning Commission. It's an application that we're excited to present to you today. It is an application for a PUD on 88.5 acres that will allow for a large lot, gated, single-family residential subdivision with private streets. A few items in the PUD, some particulars about the guts of it. It does establish a maximum density of 1.25 dwelling units per acre, which equates to about a maximum of 110 lots. I think the companion preliminary plat that was approved by the Planning Commission actually has 106 lots. It establishes a minimum lot width of 90 feet, with the exception that lots on cul-de-sacs can be 75 feet. Front building setback of 30 feet, again, with cul-de-sac lots being 25. It establishes the architectural standard of 70% brick, rock, stone, masonry products, and then a minimum of 15 acres of common area. And in fact, the preliminary plat, there's a large pond that you can see, and we're trying to obviously make that a great amenity, so we actually have 18 acres of common area, which equates to about 20% of the site. So the current zoning is actually R1 as it is today, but our proposal is for kind of a hybrid type of subdivision where we have large lots. In fact, we average over a half-acre lot, and we have full utilities, so we have water and we have sewer, but we are utilizing a rural standard street since it's private. It's a 24-foot wide street, but we're also utilizing ribbon curbs, which is a flat curb that serves as a blocker, so it really not only adds aesthetic value, but also helps with the stability of the asphalt. So it's really a unique development. We've done it a couple of times in projects just south of here in Mustang. They're extremely successful. They turn out to be beautiful projects. We're excited about it. But that's just a quick overview of what it is that this PUD is about, and certainly be happy to answer any questions or go into any further detail. But again, we're excited about it. We've seen great success with this type of development just south of here, so we're eager to go do it, and we would ask for your approval.
Is this the Mustang School District as well?
It is Mustang.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the council?
Nope.
Thank you for that overview. It looks like a great project. I'll move for approval.
All right, we're voting on item 9A7. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously.
Thank you all.
Item 9A8 is a zoning case. It's also in Ward 3 at 601 North Check Hall Road. It's currently in a plan unit development, and it would be a new PUD if approved. Larry?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Is the applicant happen to be present? Has anybody signed up? I'm having the applicant come up here to give a geography lesson. This particular plot of land is in what city?
This is in Oklahoma City.
In Oklahoma City, despite what the Daily Oklahoman calls as being in Yukon. I don't know if you saw that the other day in the write-up. If you would give the council a brief overview of what this is all about.
Mark Grubbs, 1819 South Morgan Road, on behalf of the applicant. This is at the market at Check Hall, which is the large shopping center, is just to the north of this. This is I-40 and Check Hall Road. Academy and a bunch of other big box retailers. A lot of restaurants are moving in this area right now. Real fast growing area for the Oklahoma City, Yukon, Mustang area. So this is a PUD that the Planning Commission and the City Council has actually seen before. We just came back because we had two Marriott concepts that are moving, have this property, a portion of this property under contract and are ready to start construction. So we're just adding the use for the hotels. We'd ask for your approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
If there's questions, I move for approval.
All right, we're voting on item 9A8. Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 9A9 is a zoning case in Ward 7 at 1708 Northeast 23rd Street. It's currently R1 single family and C4 general commercial, and it will be put into a new SPUD if approved. John?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I see that the applicant is present. I'm going to make two motions. One motion is to approve the zoning, and then the second motion that I will make will be the emergency on this particular item. Tim Johnson, if you would, please come up and explain the need for the emergency. I know the council's policy states that one of the reasons to approve an emergency if it deals with the state of health. And this particular application, track 2, deals with the item of health. Tim?
Good morning, Tim Johnson on behalf of the applicant. This is kind of a companion item to what you've voted on previously. This zoning case will allow the medical use in track 2. It also brings the property into compliance by adding the ability to park. There's some canopies that are going to be added, and building setbacks and things like that needed to be brought into compliance with the current zoning code. So this PUD allows the parking behind both track 1 and track 2. And the clinic is going in track 2. We've asked for the emergency because of the time constraints to get the clinic space open for their lease date, which is later this year. So that's why we asked for that. And the project, as you know, has been under construction. The renovation of the building's been under construction. They need to start the parking lot as soon as possible.
All right, thank you. So with that said, the first motion will be to approve the zoning, and then I'm going to make a second motion for the emergency.
All right, we're voting on item 9A9. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously.
And the next motion is move the emergency.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the emergency. Any comments or questions? All right, cast your votes on the emergency. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 9A10 is a zoning case in Ward 7 at 17608 Northwestern. It's currently C3 Community Commercial. It's in a PUD, and it would be put into a new simplified plan unit development if approved. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is to permit a medical clinic in retail development. Madam Clerk, has anyone signed up to speak? No one is here who have signed up to speak. The Planning Commission did approve this item. I said for a medical clinic. I'm sorry. I was actually looking at A9. This is to permit 2 single-family homes to be built on the property. I move for approval.
Second. All right, comments or questions on item 9A10? All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9B would be an amendment to the master design statement. This is also in Ward 7. John, you okay with this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am. With that said, I move for approval. I do want to add that I do believe that this development is moving things in the right direction for us, having development along Broadway Extension. So I just wanted to point that out.
All right, I'll take that motion and second on the amendment. We're voting on 9B1 first. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Now I'll need a motion on the ordinance.
Move that.
Cast your votes on 9B2, and it passes unanimously. Item 9C is a zoning case recommended for denial. This is on a PUD in Ward 4 at 12321 Southeast 119th Street. It's currently AA agricultural, and it would be put into a new plan unit development. And Todd, we have a couple of people that have signed up to speak.
Great. Could we go ahead and let them come speak, please?
Sure. Gary Montgomery. Good morning. We'll need your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Gary Montgomery. I live at 12525 Southeast 119th Street. The area out there right now is zoned as a 5-acre area. I know when I bought my house and built my house out there, that was taken into consideration. And I'm also sitting here with homeowners, all except for one within a quarter mile of this property. And we're all here saying we don't want that. We don't want an addition in there. And as you all know, it's already gone through the Planning Commission, who didn't recommend that it be done. I believe it was DEQ also did a thing saying that it wasn't in the best interest of the area to build it there either. So basically, we just want to voice our opinion that, you know, we don't want that there. That's exactly why we moved there. You have another developer right now within a quarter of a mile of the property building new homes. He's got 4-bedroom, 3-bath homes, and he's putting them on 5 acres because that's how it's designed. And there are people who want it that way. A lot of people keep saying undeveloped property, but we developed it the way we want it. You know, 5 acres, that's why we moved there. And we're asking that you continue to follow the lead of the previous votes and let us keep our properties the way they are.
Thanks, Gary.
Nikki Hubbs.
Hi, Nikki Hubbs, 2210 Brook Drive, Choctaw, Oklahoma. Speaking on behalf of the applicant, I'm a local real estate agent out in the area, and I just wanted to bring attention that this is something good for out there that we don't have. Carl Albert School District is a very desirable school district. We don't have a lot of acre-and-a-half lots out there. I have people calling me that want this. It's not a huge neighborhood they're building. It's one street. It's going to be 8 lots, 3 of which the applicants are going to be building on, and they're only going to be selling off 5. Around the area will still be wooded to keep separation from the 5-acre tracts that are around, that surround the area. The closest thing to this is 6 miles northeast of the area. It backs up to I-40, so the neighborhood is like literally your lots are in, your backyards are in the I-40 area. This is still a rural area, but easy access to I-40, 240, Boeing, Tinker, all that. So it is a very desirable situation for what they're asking for, and I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Francis, is that all that we have signed up to speak? Okay. And can we hear from the applicant?
Good morning, David Box, 522 Colcord Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. Well, what we have before you is a PUD. There's been reference made to there not being anything comparable to what we've applied for. What I asked our engineer to do is to do a bit of research in this area. So what you see is a swath between Southeast 74th and Southeast 149th Street. You can see the subject site where we're trying to zone is right here. Everything you see colored, whether it be yellow or orange, are RA-type developments. RA developments are minimum of 1 acre lots. If you look at the PUD, we have 15 acres and 8 lots. That's approximately, pencils out to about 2 dwelling units per acre. Our lot sizes are around 1.5 acres, so consistent with what you see in this area. The pink is zoned R1 and is part of the lake, but you can see that's what this area has become when it's developed. Certainly there are 5 acre lots, but lots comparable to what we are requesting certainly predominate the area. So some of the items that we have in this PUD, we actually came with this PUD before, and we had 12 lots. We modified that to 8. And in addition to reducing our lot counts, what you see in the PUD now is we have a requirement that the east 40 feet and the west 40 feet shall remain as a tree preserve. We're not permitted to take out any trees. There are some trees that are already gone because of some fence encroachments, but we have a tree preserve. You'll see the first approximately 210 feet on the image in front of you is all common area. And so that'll act as a buffer to Southeast 119th Street. So you've got this 8 acre development that's essentially hidden behind the trees. In addition, we also have a requirement within the PUD that 60% of the trees that remain must remain. We did remove some trees at the beginning. There was a lot of cedar trees out there that, as this council knows, are nuisance type trees. And we did have to remove some trees to drill some test wells. We have already done that through the state, and the water that it was produced far exceeded what you would need for this type of development. So we do believe that we have added significant protections to the surrounding area with all the tree preserves and tree buffering. And we believe that this type of development is what is desirable and what is out in this area. So we would ask for your approval and be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Your Honor, David, that area that's shaded in the pink, what is that? Is that area surrounding Lake Draper that you can't
That's
build?
Right. Yeah, it's surrounding Draper, but it is zoned, R1 single family. I'm not sure what the ownership makeup looks like on that land, but it is zoned R1 single family, and as you know, that's much denser than what we would be permitted to do through this PUD.
Can you tell us a little bit more as far as how much buffering there is with respect to the trees surrounding this proposed development area?
Absolutely. Do you have the aerial image as part of your packet? So what you'll see is the first 210 feet moving north from 119th Street will remain as common area, except for the street that's been cut. You'll have a nice significant tree buffer there, so you won't be able to see the homes that are back there. And then on the east and the west, you have a 40-foot swath that'll be required to be a tree preserve, and that language is put into the PUD, and if approved, would be approved by ordinance and therefore be enforceable by the city. So we've tried to do what we can to make sure that this development is insulated, not only to benefit the neighbors outside, but also to benefit my clients. That's what is appealing to this area, and as the individual who spoke earlier said, 3 of these lots will be developed by my client and family members. And so they're wanting to keep as many trees as possible. It certainly adds to the development.
Okay, final question.
Yes, sir.
So the Planning Commission denied this application. Can you tell us 1 or 2 of the major concerns that they brought out? in their decision to deny?
The comp plan in this portion of the city was painted with a very broad brush. When you look at the comp plan for Councilman Stone's ward, it's essentially all dark green. And all dark green means a minimum of 5-acre lots. Now, the fallacy in that argument is it doesn't take into account things that are already developed or zoned to allow denser type development. So when you look at the way that the comp plan has designated this, I think it ignores the realistic view that this is the lot size that is popular. It allows you to have a rural feel, but the price of the land is such that it doesn't lend itself to 5-acre type developments. And so I think that the Planning Commission was stuck on the idea that the comp plan painted a very broad brush of this entire portion of the city, saying that 5-acre lots is all that would be appropriate. And I think that's contrary to the market and contrary to the view of, I think, a lot of folks that live out there.
Okay, thank you.
What school district is this?
Carl Albert.
So Middale? It's 100 blocks from Carl Albert High School, right? Okay.
It's out there a ways, Mayor. No doubt about it. Gary, you said your address, did I get that correct, is 125? How far away, and I assume that's your residence, primary residence, how far away from this property is that? Okay.
But we do have the person right next to it.
Okay.
Is here, and the houses between me and those are here, all except for one.
Okay.
It was already cut up in lots when they bought it.
Yeah, he needs to come to the mic if he's going to speak. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm good, thank you. Your Honor, I think I would like to make a request or a motion to defer this for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I say that because I want to be able to get together with some of the people in the audience, and maybe we get together on site out there to make it more convenient for you. I'd be more than happy to do that and get out there and try one more time to discuss some of your concerns, along with what the applicant is trying to do there as well. So I would make a motion that we defer this for 2 weeks, please.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for denial. Is there any comments or questions? You're right, deferral. Deferral on the deferral on the denial that was recommended by the Planning Commission. Okay, so 9C, motion and a second for a deferral, 2 weeks. Cast your votes. That deferral passes unanimously.
Thank you. Francis, we have all the contact information for Gary, is that correct? Yes. Okay, thank you.
All right, item 9D is an ordinance here for final hearing. This has to do with our Parks Department. It was introduced a few weeks back, and this gets our language straight into our codes. Is there a motion to move this forward? We have a second. Is there anyone here hoping to speak on item 9D today? All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9E begins a series of items that come to us from the Traffic Commission. The first is in Ward 6, and it would reserve a parking space for the physically disabled on North Lee Avenue. Meg?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is a request by Midtown Church of the Nazarene. I would move approval.
All right, we're voting on item 9E1. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9E2 is in Ward 2, and it has to do with some school day parking restrictions. Ed?
Move for approval.
All right, cast your votes on 9E2. Passes unanimously. Item 9E3 is a zoning case in Ward 7. Say zoning case, it's actually a parking issue in Ward 7. Has to be on North Rhode Island. John, you okay with this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move for approval. We talked about this earlier today.
All right, cast your votes on 9E3. It passes unanimously. Item 9E4 is for a reserved parking space in Ward 7, also on North Rhode Island. John?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The same, move for approval.
I oppose that.
All right, cast your votes.
I oppose that. I want to speak on that.
All right, come on forward.
I'm going to cast a vote. I ain't even spoke yet. My goodness, I don't disrespect people. You should ask if we're ready to speak. Michael Washington, 2900 Northeast 18th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73111. Been there for a minute. Been there, done that. Now, establishing one reserved parking space for the physically disabled on the west side of North Rhode Island Avenue from approximately 112 feet south to 142 feet south of the south curb line of Northeast 23rd Street in that ward. Now, what I'd like to find out is what is the necessity in establishing this particular handicap sign in this particular parking lot, Mr. John Pettis. Okay, you seem to be passing these measures without first contacting and getting my approval, which I don't particularly appreciate being a community activist on the northeast side of Oklahoma City. Again, I've told you plenty of times and will continue to tell you that you will not pass any measures, develop any circumstances or situations without first contacting me and the citizens of the northeast side of Oklahoma City. As we know, a lot of them don't come down here, for the most part, but Michael does, and that they should be given a better understanding about the atrocities, I believe, not necessarily in this particular case, that this council, with the approval of this man here, this Ward 7 guy, who are not giving us any indications on the importance of why certain things are developed. Now, we also know, too, this possibly could be connected to this so-called medical center that's getting ready to be developed on the northeast side, which I vehemently protested being erected. And again, Mr. Pettis, is that in relationship to that? I'm here to speak on it. I'm trying to get some questions and answers.
Well, the address is clearly listed here. It is on Northeast 23rd Street.
On 23rd Street, but I'm saying, is this necessary, this reserved parking space connected to the medical facility that's intended to be erected there on the northeast side?
It's been deemed appropriate. That's about all I can tell you.
Thank you, sir, and I got that opinion of yours. And let me say in closing then.
All right, can we vote?
It should be held in abeyance until I've had an opportunity to inspect that area.
Well, it is not going to be.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, we're voting on item 9E4. Okay, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. All right, item 9F is a public hearing regarding dilapidated structures. Is there anyone here hoping to speak under any item listed under 9F?
Yes, I am.
All right, come on forward. This is a public hearing. Is there any particular property you'd like to see pictures of?
Yes, I see several of them in Ward 7 here. 1116 North Jordan Avenue, house. Oh, my goodness. What are we planning on doing with that?
Well, we're hoping the owner will come in and take care of it, but if not, we'll have to tear it down.
Well, I mean, and if they are going to be that negligent, oh, my God, you know, that brings down the total harmony of the community in and of itself. Now, let me tell you something. I might not have a problem with that as long as you contact this man and give him an ample opportunity, him or her, an ample opportunity to correct this, oh, my God, this blatant dilapidation.
That has been done.
It has been. Well, thank you. Let's move on with that.
Okay.
1415 North 12th Street, Northeast Outer Building, Ward 7. Okay, now what's with this? So then y'all gonna probably tear the shed down then, right? Not the other.
That would be correct.
Oh, the shed. Okay, well now, I mean, obviously they don't feel it's necessary to be on the premises because the front part of the housing structure seems to be reasonably established and set up on the land. So again, if they have been contacted and they refuse to make corrections to this, then obviously they want it torn down. Let's see. 817 Northeast 30th Street, shed. Oh, the shed's already gone, isn't it? It looks like it's falling down, or the wind has come back. Do you need me to help you with that? I was definitely made. Why, God, Jesus Christ. Let me tell you something. Okay, no comment on it. It needs to be straightened out. Now, see, I'm in agreement with y'all. I'm not just up here just to be arguing. If these people have been given a proper notifications and they refuse to make corrections, you better believe I'm 100% in behind you. 1440 North Court. It's the house.
No, that you're on to a new list.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay, well, that's all I have for
We need to vote on 9F. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. So that was item 2 that we voted. Okay. So we're on to item 9G. It's a public hearing regarding unsecured structures. Is there anyone here hoping to speak on any of these items?
Present, Your Honor.
Hi, John. Which one would you like to see?
Let's look at 1241 Belvedere Drive. I believe that's the pronunciation.
Okay.
Now, this seems to be in a hidden destination on this property. Did someone go on the property and say, well, I discovered this, or how did that work?
It's a shed behind the house.
Okay, so is this obviously seen from the street? I'm trying to see how were these pictures developed. I mean, oh
Yeah.
my goodness, somebody told you. Did the neighbors inform y'all need to be?
Yes.
And has the property owner been notified that it needs to be corrected?
Yes.
And if they have then and refuse to do so, let me tell you something. I am a staunch believer in following the policies and procedures of government structures. And if, in fact, and they're not above the law just like we aren't, and if they refuse to correct it, then it needs to be corrected. Thank you. All right. Now we go to 1440 North Court. So what I mean...
Got to secure it, Michael. There's no door on the property. That has to have a door.
Oh, okay.
Has to have some sort of secured.
Right, but you're not going to tear it down because the door not on the...
This is not dilapidated.
No,
This
we're
is
going to secure
unsecured.
it.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right.
Then you got 1415 Northeast 12th Street. Is that the same house? Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, even vandals could come through there and maybe cut their arms or whatever. I have no problem with that. Let's move on to the next. No problem whatsoever. 3345 North 12th Street, Northeast 12th. I'll remove, okay. 1820 Northeast 25th Street. I'm just trying to make sure John Pettis don't get none of these houses undercut. Okay. So now, what if they refuse to correct this and you come out and use your own building and knocking together stuff? How much is that going to charge?
Property owner is given so much time to secure the building. If he doesn't, our contractors will go out and secure it, and we will send them.
We'll build them a building. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Let me see here. 444 Northwest 89th Street. Hey, wait a minute. That's my house. No, just kidding. What's up with this? I don't see. Oh, okay. Now, okay, good. Yeah, that'll stop them vagrants, them people that's so-called I'm homeless and all that. I don't fall off that madness. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay, let's move on to something else. I'm through with that. Thank you.
All right, let's vote on item 9G. Cast your votes. Passed unanimously. Item 9H is a public hearing regarding abandoned buildings.
Uh-oh, here we come now. All right. 1116 North Jordan.
Okay.
Oh, that's that same one now. So abandoned, right? You say you're talking about turn that down. Okay, yeah. Go ahead. I haven't seen that. 30. Wait a minute. 1440 North Court. Now, the abandoned means that if someone doesn't come in and claim it, that y'all tear it down, right?
No, that just means it's declared abandoned because it's declared dilapidated or unsecured.
Okay. All right, well, that being the case, I don't need to go through that since that's all that is. I'm through with that then. I've addressed those issues.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. We're voting on item 9H. Passed unanimously. Item 9I, we have a presentation from Doug Dowler.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. I'm pleased to be here this morning to speak to the budget amendment that takes the next step in delivering on the commitments made to our residents when they approved the Better Street, Safer City initiative in September. The first change that's in the budget amendment is the addition of the Better Street, Safer City Sales Tax Fund. This is the name we're using in the budget for the temporary 1-cent sales tax approved by voters September 12, 2017. The official name is the Ordinance Number 25751 Capital Improvement Sales Tax Fund, but for ease of reference and to avoid confusion with the Capital Improvements Projects Funds, we're using the Better Street, Safer City name for budgetary purposes. The tax is expected to bring in just under $39 million this fiscal year, $240 million over the 27 months it will be in effect. While the tax went into effect on January 1st, we'll receive the first partial month of tax revenue next week, we expect, and our first full month of remittance will be in March. The council ordinance of intent that was passed for the tax directed the tax to support street resurfacing, streetscapes, sidewalks, trails, and bike infrastructure. Finance Department and the Public Works Department have been meeting to ensure that we organize and direct those funds be spent according to that resolution of intent. And the new Citizen Oversight Committee for the tax has had its first meeting recently, and I believe has approved an initial list of projects for them. In addition to the temporary sales tax, a companion use tax was also enacted. In keeping with the council priority to support public safety, this tax will be used primarily to fund public safety capital projects, mostly fleet replacement in police and fire. As with past use taxes, we'll bring a resolution to the council to review and approve the planned expenditures each year. This budget amendment establishes the Better Street, Safer City Use Tax Fund and budgets the $4.7 million the temporary use tax is expected to bring in this fiscal year. The general fund is also being amended to account for the additional 1/4 cent sales tax that was also approved by voters in September. The rate increase also went into effect on January 1st, and we'll be receiving our first remittances that include the additional tax in February. The budget amendment is enacting the actions identified in the council resolution of intent that was adopted to guide the spending of the new tax, or the increase in the sales tax. We are unfreezing the 48 police and 21 fire positions that have been frozen. In addition, we're adding 81 police positions and 39 fire positions to meet the requirements of the resolution. The final change is the police and fire budgets will be to increase funding for overtime while police and fire hire the additional staff to fill those positions. Of course, not all these positions will be filled immediately, but we wanted to get them all budgeted now to ensure funding is in place as they are hired and to set the baseline for the FY19 budget. The total change in police and fire is $6.1 million, and the remaining funds from the 1/4 cent sales tax will be budgeted in a reserve and non-departmental, pending future decisions about how that differential will be used. Also in the general fund, the Public Works Department is adding 5 positions that will be funded through chargebacks to the Better Street, Safer City Sales Tax Fund. These positions will be working in engineering, project management, and financial management, and those positions total about $200,000. So in total, the general fund's being increased by $10.2 million, brings the total budget in the general fund to $415.2 million. The next 2 changes are to the Capital Improvement Projects Fund and the Special Purpose Fund. These are being amended to account for a significant refund we received from the Oklahoma Department of Transportation for numerous projects we participated in going back a number of years. We try to return the funds to the original source, but in several cases these projects were funded by GO bond funds that are now closed, and in those cases we're depositing the funds in the Special Purpose Fund to ensure they're used for the same purpose as originally intended in the bond authorization. In total, we received approximately $670,000 from ODOT, and the split is $360,000 going to the Capital Improvement Projects Fund and $310,000 to the Special Purpose Fund. The final change is to the Oklahoma City Tax Increment Financing Fund. This fund is being increased by $950,000 that is coming from higher fund balance than was budgeted. This change is really more or less an administrative housekeeping to allow us to move these funds over to the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust, who manages the activities in the various tax increment financing districts. So overall, we're looking at an increase of $55.5 million to the overall budget, bringing our total budget to $1,435,691,292. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, questions for Doug?
I like the name change.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure.
When you talk about the Special Purpose Fund, how does that become allocated?
So what we do with the Special Purpose Fund, it's used when someone has designated funds be used for a specific purpose. So for example, if someone were to donate funds for a park bench or something like that, we put it into a Special Purpose Fund so that we can ensure that it's used for that purpose and that purpose only. So we've got one set up for Public Works that's used for projects that are consistent with these are all street funds, street projects that would be consistent with how the GO bond authorization was worded. So we've got a number of special purposes, same kind of thing, donations that are made, say, to the fire department to buy smoke detectors or those kinds of things. We put those in a Special Purpose Fund. So there's numerous sub-funds basically within the Special Purpose Fund. We make sure that we follow the wishes of the person who gave it back or the original purpose of that funding in how we spend that. So Public Works will manage that funding and ensure that it's spent for the same purpose as the original bond money. Does that get to your question?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Doug, thanks.
Thanks.
Come on up.
Well, now, Mr. Doug, you have extra policy copy of that?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I purposely don't have any direct comment in a negative manner regarding what this gentleman just spoke about. But what I do have a question with is why, for the most part, has the northeast side of Oklahoma City been purposely, blatantly, and flagrantly disregarded and looked over with respect to all of these monies that's available to us, that is given to all these other districts? Okay, I don't have all the evidence before me now, but I'll tell you what, I'll leave this podium. If we've even been close to being given some of these special funds and other creative monies that are designed for the tax increment finance districts of which we are in. We believe that this is a blatant racist behavior, not on necessarily this gentleman's part, but then you have committees and people that's over him. So I'd like to know, sir, regarding this special purpose fund, would that also be included into, since I'm trying to determine this special fund is not per se just for streets and easements, right? It can be used for private.
Michael, the projects will be listed publicly, and you'll have
I'm asking him a question, sir, so he can tell me beforehand. That's what he's
not
paying
on
for.
trial, Michael. I'm telling you that the projects will be listed. You'll have a chance to see that they're equally
This man
distributed.
he presented a presentation today. Why are you going to put me off on something? Because we know that Michael's good at making people contradict themselves. We know that. Because Michael writes down and listens. Now, anyhow, simply because he made that statement, still I'll be visiting with you later, sir. Again, obviously there's a protection mode going on here. I don't see why, because you seem highly intelligent, which I give you that credit for. But again, no one answered yet. Why is it that the tax increment finance in our district on Ward 7 have not been given an ample amount of monies that are designed to put people to work, get people off the street on the northeast side of Oklahoma City? I, for one, am getting ready and need money to open my Freedom Center up. And guess what? We're going to be able to give people jobs, and I believe tax increment finance is designed for blighted areas to give those areas money who need money to put people to work. Now, we don't have to put 150,000 people to work because we're not that big.
Michael, that's fine, but this isn't an application process.
No, it's not the application. I'm asked, does this money include that? You're not hearing me, though. I didn't say application. I asked, does this money, M-O-N-E-Y, fit that kind of thing, too?
Well, there's separate funding opportunities, but both of them will address the Ward 7 issues.
So the Ward 7 issues will be addressed
Michael,
from what this man spoke on.
Stay on point here. We're looking at this particular funding resource.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Does that include the tax increment district of northeast side Oklahoma City?
It's not the funding source we're discussing right
now. Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to get at. I asked you what is it designed for other than what the man spoke about? You didn't never answer that for me.
It's pretty broad. It'll be citywide.
Oh, it's pretty broad. You've seen I'm getting at. Okay, well, I'll conclude at this point, but I just want y'all to know my ears are well on. Thank you.
All right. All right, we need a motion on item 9I. Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9J, understand we do not need executive session.
That's correct.
So a motion to approve. All right, cast your votes on 9J. Passes unanimously. Item 9K, understand we do need executive session.
Yes, sir.
All right, cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Item 9L, understand we do need executive session.
Yes.
Cast your vote. Passes unanimously.
People need to know why these lawsuits are being filed and why. Can I speak?
No, it's clearly stated why we're going into executive
Yeah,
session.
what I'm saying, we need to hear it too, though. It says here from what I'm getting here.
Item 9M, claims recommended for denial. Is there anyone here hoping to speak on any item listed under 9M?
No, 9M. Don't move my foot. Sit down and wait. Be trying to, 9 what now? Since he opened his mouth, I missed it.
9M, claims recommended for denial.
9M, LM. X. JKLM. Where's the M in on this? Oh, okay. Claims to be, okay, Jeffrey Alleman, 7. Okay, Ward 2. I don't know anything about that much, but now let me go. I don't know about those because I don't know people
All
may
right.
deserve.
Cast your votes on 9M. Passed unanimously. Item 10 is claims recommended for approval. Is there a motion? Cast your votes. It passes unanimously. Items from council. James, you have anything for us today? Ed, Larry, Todd? All right, David?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm looking forward to tonight's State of the Union address by President Trump. Early today, the announcement of $1.5 trillion to be allocated towards infrastructure is the focal point, in my opinion, as to what to look for. We don't, unless you do, Mayor, have any ideas as to what that may result for Oklahoma City and Oklahoma in total, but I would suspect there'll be some benefit combined with what we're doing with our various programs. So I think it's very optimistic. The other item that I think is very favorable is this morning's announcement by the partnership with Amazon, J.P. Morgan Chase, and Berkshire Hathaway partnering to provide health care for all of its employees. I think the driving force behind that decision, one, is to better control the cost of providing health care for employees, but secondly, and probably more importantly, setting those three companies, and with Berkshire Hathaway's all their major investments, in a position to attract employees. And the new Amazon headquarters is going to need 50,000 new employees, and you just don't send out a one ad notice and get 50,000 qualified employees to come down. But Chase is doing the same thing. They've recently announced they're going to bring in over $20 billion of new investments. Exxon announced they're making over $50 billion new investments. All of these companies that are doing this are attributing that to the corporate tax cut that took place towards the end of December. I think the competition for qualified employees will continue to grow, and companies that can distinguish themselves as far as being the place more educated employees want to work at will be successful. If Oklahoma City and the state of Oklahoma wants to participate in that success, that investment by the private sector, they've got to be able to offer the kind of quality employees that these companies need to be successful. And I think it all goes back to basic education. There's a report that was released last week that indicates Oklahoma is certainly well below average in the form of its citizens with respect to education. Until we address some of the basic problems here in this state and even within our city, we're not going to be able to participate in this increase in investment by the private sector, and it's going to be one announcement after another as far as companies making these types of investments. And I just think it's really an issue that we need to address in a very urgent manner to try to elevate ourselves to be as competitive as possible. Thank you.
Jim, streetlight outages have been in the forefront of discussion recently, and I was just hoping you might be able to address to those listening today what steps we've taken to work on that.
Number of streetlights were identified as being out in the downtown area. We're doing three things. First of all, we've coordinated with OG&E. Some of them are our responsibility, some of them are OG&E's responsibility. And what we've coordinated with OG&E, that if we get a call, give it into OG&E, give it into Oklahoma, to the city here and through our action center. It doesn't matter if it's OG&E's, we'll report it to them. And if it's ours, OG&E will get that information to us. So people don't have to worry about whose it is because nobody knows whose they are. They only know that the light's out. So one, we're coordinating that to make sure that's more of a transparent process, or seamless process, I guess is the way to say it that. Secondly, we're out there fixing. OG&E is out getting theirs done. Where we have resources out fixing our lights too. And thirdly, we're going to come up with a way to go have somebody be a downtown checker and advocate to go down and look and see occasionally how many lights are out. Some of them were burned out. Some of them were actually the victim of some copper theft, where they actually stole the copper out of the lights. And so it's a combination of a number of things. It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have gotten to this level. And we are on the road of getting them back on.
Kind of a fourth issue is we've got private buildings that have lights out, and we would encourage all of those private property owners to look at the lighting around their own property, and if it's an issue where they can call OG&E and get a security light reestablished, please do that.
You're exactly right.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
And to follow up on Mayor's comments about streetlights, I want to talk about streetlights on Lincoln between Northeast 23rd to 36th Street. There's been some back and forth whether the city's responsible for the lights or is the state responsible for the lights. And I think the state is the entity supposed to be responsible for the lights. But however, the lights have not been on in years. From 23rd going south, on Lincoln, from 23rd going south on Lincoln, the lights are on, but from 23rd to 36th, the street lights are not on. And again, the state's supposedly responsible for it, and they're not, the lights haven't been on in years. And so my question as well as request, Mr. Manager, could you send a letter to the state requesting that the state turn back on the lights on Lincoln?
I bet there's more to it than this, but yes, we'd be happy to check into it and find out.
Well, I mean, because I'm getting feedback, well, why is Lincoln lights are off?
Let's find that out.
If the state is not going to pay for it, then maybe as a city, we need to step up and get something done because it looks really bad.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mark?
As I mentioned before, this Saturday, February 3rd, Neighborhood Alliance is having a leadership conference where neighborhood leaders come to a seminar to be educated and groomed on becoming involved in city leadership. And when we sat down and put this program together, we estimated that there would probably be 30 to 40 people show up. We cut off 2 weeks ago enrollment at 135. So I'm excited about everybody being interested, and I think it's going to be a great conference and a great seminar and a great way for us to find some new leaders for the city. The other thing, I want to thank Allen Contracting for finishing its bridge work a day ahead on I-235 Broadway Extension. Thumbs up to their hard work.
I did think of one thing that nobody mentioned. Next week is when trash collection is changing, so make sure you know what, I know the postcards have been sent out, but for most of Ward 1, our collection day is now going to be Monday. So
wow,
there's a large chunk of that used to be on Tuesday, now we're going to be on Monday. So
yeah, fewer things
reminder.
cause more calamity than changing trash.
I know, that's why I mentioned.
So I'm glad you brought that to our attention. So that's Monday, and people should be looking for that notification, and it's on our website too.
Yeah, it's on our website, but I know I've gotten 2 notifications that have come to my home telling me the change of the date, so the notifications are out there.
All right. City manager reports.
We have a couple things this morning. First of all, we have a presentation on the convention center. Adam Polich is here from Populous, and Adam's been working on this for a number of years and is going to give us an update. We're making progress.
Well, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, Council, it's good to see you all. I know it's been a long but exciting road. So we want to give you a quick update on where we're at with schedule, cost. We've updated a few of the architectural renderings that we want to show you, and we just want to touch on a lot of the coordination that we've done recently to get this thing across the finish line. So with this update, it means that we'll be coming back to you next month at the end of February for final approval of our final plans. Our subcommittee and citizen advisory boards, they've been happy to date, and we would hope that as we move forward through final submittal that we're here with you all in a month ready to vote on this. So The design principles, this is the same slide that we've been showing now for maybe 2.5 or 3 years, and I think it's very relevant now, maybe more relevant now than it was when we came up with it, just because of all the construction and the development that's happening around the city. I know the streetcar and all of that stuff is going in now, so it's very, very exciting. So to date, we've now got approval from planning, Downtown Design Review Committee. This is final approval for the entire project. So they've given us the okay to move this across the finish line. Recently, we've had meaningful coordination with the Omni Hotel team. We know that that project is getting started now, and so knowing that the projects need to work well together and coordinate with each other, their architecture team has been more than willing to work with us, and we've been more than willing to accommodate them as well. So truly, you will have a coordinated project between the two facilities once they're constructed. Some developments on public art. We're working with Robbie and her team in the public art department. We've come up with a campus master plan for the building, and she will be issuing an RFP for artists once we receive final approval and the final bids come in. So again, and then with fire, police, life safety code, building permit, everyone is all up to speed on where we're at with the design. Again, it's been met unanimously with them with positive regards. And SMG, the future building operator, has approved on the final design of the building as well. So no small feat in all the convention centers that I've done. This is probably the most coordinated one we've done. So it's very exciting for us to see these drawings come out the door. So the program of the building stays the same. We still have our 200,000 square feet of exhibit hall, the 40,000 square feet of meeting, and the 30,000 square foot ballroom. And the exterior architecture hasn't really changed. These are renderings that we've all seen before, but you can see that we've maintained the integrity of the design through the entire process. So again, some views looking south on Robinson Avenue. Some of the materials and elevation from the park, we have our terracotta rain screens, some textured concrete, insulated metal wall panel, and some formed metal panel that start to outline the different program areas of the building. Again, we took a lot of inspiration from the relationship with the park and Union Station and all of the architecture surrounding the boathouse area. Another view looking south along Robinson, view looking north along Robinson with the updated pedestrian landscape. This is the view coming from Shields, going north. I just want to point out again that we've taken into consideration all of the mechanical and loading areas, so we're screening that off from pedestrian view in the back side of the building. An aerial that shows the connection between the park, the convention center, and then the new hotel development, and the new gateway coming north into downtown, and the overall aerial of all the future development. Again, it's a unique situation to be in, to be rebuilding an entire new part of your city, so very exciting. And then the panorama looking out of the ballroom balcony to the west. Some updated elevations. And I want to touch on our interior renderings real quick. I know that we spent some time with our subcommittee really fine-tuning the interior material selections. Everything that we've chosen is very resilient. Maintenance has been accounted for. It's cost-effective, and it's been also vetted by the building operator for approved finishes. So it's certainly a resilient building because it's going to receive a lot of high use when it's very successful and open. Some of the meeting room spaces, the main atriums, a lot of natural light looking out west to the park and the development along Robinson. The entries to some of the meeting rooms. Again, some of the informal seating areas. Natural light looking into the pre-functions. And if you remember way back, we made a decision as a subcommittee, as a team, to put these meeting rooms up against the glass to allow as much natural light in as possible. So every single meeting room in this facility will all have access to natural daylight. As we've said in the past, this is absolutely where this industry is going, and this will be one of the first facilities in the country to actually achieve this. So it's certainly very exciting. And our ballroom, again, open glass to the west of the ballroom to allow that view out to the west. So One development since the last time we saw you was the addition of this pedestrian walkway. We have a list of alternates that we're holding. One of them is the pedestrian connection to the hotel. We're holding it as an alternate because the hotel team was not selected at the time when we were tasked to design it. So we had to design something, and it's in our project as an alternate. However, a recent development was the parking garage on the parcel, the old OG&E Gold building that's on the corner of 4th Street and Broadway. So we've been tasked to design an enclosed pedestrian connection from that parking garage to our second level of meeting rooms. So you can see here where that dashed line is. Just to the north of that along 4th Street is an addition of about a 400-foot long pedestrian bridge that will be an enclosed connection between the parking garage and the front of our building. So not only will it be an elevated pedestrian connection, but from an exterior perspective, it will also be a protected ground level connection from that bridge. So in any kind of local show or large gathering for the convention center, any kind of guest that will park in that future parking garage will have a protected connection to the front of our building. And it will tie in to the alternate bridge that connects to the hotel as well. So I have a drawing here. I'll go through these views real quick. This is from the hotel bridge looking into our building. This is from our building looking out into the bridge. And this is the interior of that long bridge to the parking garage. So again, it's not a cold space. We've taken some of the materials from the inside of our space and livened it up a little bit. And there's actually talk with Robbie recently from Public Art on how we can integrate some public art in this space as well. So once this drawing loads, you can see where the bridges connect. So if you look at the drawing to the right, where you see that stair right in the center, that is where the bridge from the parking garage will connect and the bridge for the alternate to the hotel will connect right there at that meeting room level. So again, it's always been designed to accept a bridge. So it's architecturally, we think it works. It works just as it's supposed to be designed. So cost. We've done a rigorous management of cost throughout this entire project. I don't think we've actually ever been over budget, which has been very positive. And we're still estimating this with all of our normal contingencies and escalation that we would plan for. However, we're at a point where the market will just have to tell us what it is at this point in time. So we're right where we need to be. Our budget number is 194,800,000. Our project right now is at 193,324,089, so about $680,000 under budget. There's a list of 8 alternates, some that are outside of the project, some that are in the project in the actual building that we've worked closely with our subcommittee to establish. So again, there's a list here that we've worked with our team. And if there is money available when this comes to big, those will be the first things that go back into the project. But absolutely nothing that really affects the actual architecture of the building. A lot of it is internal, and then stuff along the site, such as the south parking lot, the bridge, and the 4th Street Plaza. So the proposed schedule, as I said, we will issue our final plans to the city next week on February 8th. We will present to our subcommittee on the 20th. Citizens Advisory Board on the 22nd, and if that goes according to plan, we will be in front of you all again on the 27th. That will let us advertise for bids on the 28th. We're thinking with our MAPS team that bids will approximately be 6 to 8 weeks just because of the scale of the project. We would assume we would have a contract to approve in June, and then we would break ground at the beginning of June 2018. So it seems far away, but it will be here before we know it. So any questions from you all?
One question I had was about, can you tell us a little bit about signage, and specifically, will there be signage on the back side of the building that can be seen from Shields Boulevard?
Yeah, so I'll click through this rendering, but we do have a sign that says Oklahoma City Convention Center that will be visible from Shields on the back end of the building. So it'll be on the top of the building about, I would say, 30 feet in the air, so it will be visible from a car or a pedestrian. And there will also be pedestrian campus signage that will be littered around the campus to direct people to all the locations around the building.
Any other comments or questions? Yeah, David?
Could we go back to that screen that talks about the alternatives to the budget?
Absolutely.
What's the alternative number 4, central utility plant equipment?
So in the design of our central utility plant, we had always held, we went through a study, I'm going to retrace a little bit of history, we went through a study about a year ago on whether or not we were going to run our own central utility plant in the building or if it was going to be contracted out to Veolia.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was also an alternate where we would potentially have the arena central utility plant in our building as well. So we did all of these studies on how we would accomplish that. Since then, there's been development with Veolia, and they've agreed, I'd have to have maps talk about the actual agreement, but they've agreed that they will provide the utilities to the building.
Okay.
So we are building the actual space for the utilities. So if the Veolia deal falls through, the equipment can go in, but the equipment will not be in there on day one.
Okay, thank you.
We've done a cost-effective analysis on it. And with negotiations on Veolia, it's more cost-effective long-term to have Veolia provide power or heating and cooling for the facility, not power, heating and cooling. So because of that, we are not planning on putting the equipment in, central plant equipment in. However, if something goes bad on that, we're not able to finish the agreement with Veolia, our contingency would then be to go ahead and put the equipment in.
Thank you. It's just that the title seemed like it would be something important.
Yeah, understood. There's a
Well, it is.
there's a 300-page document that's below that if you want to.
It's fascinating stuff, quite
Yeah.
frankly, but well, it really is. But so it's not anticipated that will be needed to be awarded.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Thanks for your work.
Next up, we have Craig Freeman.
Speak on what this man spoke on.
Now, you can speak in citizens to be heard here shortly.
That's a different thing. Now, citizens be heard, my turn, not your time. You gonna give me extra time?
Probably not.
Oh, well, what the hell, what are you talking about then? I need to speak on, I have the right to speak on what that man spoke on.
You'll have your chance.
Kenny Soodle is here this morning to talk about
What I'm gonna do is sue you, that's what I'm gonna do.
to talk about our annual debt report. And Kenny is just a resource that I think is we don't all realize what we have with Kenny. Kenny's our assistant finance director and is really an expert on debt and is involved in all the debt of not only the city issuances but the trust issuances that we do. Kenny?
Thank you. So today you have in your packet, and we did hand out a corrected version. I think the version you had originally was just missing some of the headers, had a problem in the printing. But
the numbers were all right in what was in your agenda. We just cut off a heading.
Yeah. So this was a requirement of the city's debt policy that was adopted back in 2015. And what this does is take all the debt, both the long-term bonds and short-term notes and things from the city and all of its related trusts and puts it together in one place. So just to reiterate, this information is out there in all the various financial reports. You all have probably approved have approved all of these. Various trusts have approved the different bonds and notes and things. But again, just the point of this was to kind of put it all in one place so that you could see it all together. So a couple quick highlights. As of June 30, 2017, the total debt is about $1.7 billion. The largest piece of that is the GO bond debt at about $770 million. Right behind that, if you add up some of the various sources between the commercial paper, the Water Resource Board notes, and the bonds that are related to water and wastewater, those in total are about $586 million. So even though that sounds like a really large debt number, when you look at the GO bonds and the water, wastewater, the major infrastructure of the city, that's about 78% of that $1.7 billion. And really, to go further, there are other pieces of the debt in there like the airport and Project 180 and some other things like that are really infrastructure related as well. So just to make the point, this is one of the major ways that we fund that. Also, there's a summary, there are various bond issues that are backed by the city that are trust bond issues such as Public Property Authority golf bonds, the COTPA parking garage system, Economic Development Trust. Those are listed to have a summary in there just to show what all the city's backing. And then there's also a section that shows the various coverage ratios for the different debt issuances. And just to give you a reminder of what that is, generally speaking, although it's a little bit different for each one, but generally speaking, you take the gross revenues of a system, you subtract out the operating expenses, and what's left is what can be used to pay for debt, for whatever the debt issuance is, and you take that amount and divide it by the annual debt service, and that kind of just gives you a coverage ratio, which is a measure of, on an annual basis, how much do each of these trusts have available to pay their debt? Are they, do they have 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, et cetera? So there's a report in there that shows that for each one of the trusts and the various debt. There's also a summary of the bond ratings, and I'm happy to report, for all our various credits, they range from A+ to AAA, very strong ratings. We don't have any that have a low rating. These are all considered investment grade and very strong. And there's also a summary of activity from the previous year and also the current year, so that you can kind of see some of the things that contributed to some of the changes, as well as see some of the debt issuances that are upcoming. And then finally, there's a section called material events. These are under federal securities law. There's a variety of things that we're required to disclose publicly because they're material to investors. And what we tried to do for you all was to separate those out into what we call routine and non-routine. I'm happy to report there are no non-routine things, which would be things like defaults or late payments or things like that. The routine things are just things like when a ratings change happens. We had some bonds that got upgraded. If we're exercising our option to pay some bonds off early, which we had done. So those are really just routine, nothing to be concerned about. But again, this report provides a place that if in the event something ever happened that we did need to be concerned about, this is where it would be reported to you all. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Kenny?
Just one quick comment. 1.7 billion seems like a lot of money, but in comparison to the city's annual budget, which now exceeds $1 billion each year, it's basically 1+ times our annual budget. So,
that's one of the things that the rating agencies look at is the debt per capita. So we're very cognizant of that number and review that number internally every year, internally and externally with the rating agencies every year.
All right. Anything else, Jim?
No, sir. Be happy to answer any questions on the remaining reports.
All right. Thanks, Kenny. Citizens to be heard. Ronnie Kirk and Emmanuel Kirk.
Mr. Mayor
Morning,
and
Ron.
Council, I'd like to say y'all did a great job on developing the city. When I come to Oklahoma City from McAlester, Oklahoma, years ago when I was a little boy, my mother took us riding down 23rd and down through town. I thought it was so beautiful. I said, Mom, this city is so big. It had 2 downtowns, 2. That was beautiful. And years ago, I feed kids, thousands of kids. I got that from, it was Abram Ross, years ago. On his birthday, he would feed everybody in the neighborhood. We waited year after year just for his birthday. Mom didn't have to spend no money. We can go and be kids. They played music, and that was down on 2nd Street, where Deep Deuce is today. So I'd like to say thanks to Abram Ross and George Burns, who died in the Murrow building. At Douglas High School, I took mechanical drawing in his class, and I told him, I had a young woman pregnant, and I didn't think I'd be able to finish high school. So he said, Ron, come back after school, we're going to sit down and talk. We went, sat down and talked that afternoon. He said, I want you to take all the basic classes that Douglas has to offer: bricklaying, mechanical drawing, woodwork, machinery, music. I took all the basics. And to this day, I've taught my grandson most of the things I learned how to do. And I'd like to thank Mr. Pete Pickett. He gave me inspiration year after year. I worked for some of the largest property-owning companies in Oklahoma City, the largest: Brookwood Village, Tamaron Point, or Wedgewood Village. And another thing, throughout the years, I fed over 10,000 kids free. I fed them in Duncan, Tatum, Boley, Oklahoma, Wetonga, and even in Detroit, Michigan. And I have been 501(c) for 18 years. I have city permits for 28 years from having parties to feed kids on the northeast side of town. I'd also like to say thanks to Mr. Doug Cooper, who's the director over the park department, and Melinda Miller, who's the assistant director. We had a meeting August the 25th that someone in the city helped set the meeting up for me. When we went over and sat down and had the meeting with the director and assistant director, the things that they mentioned and said that they were going to do on the east side that I come down and ask for them to do, they said they're going to do it and do it better. We just come down to say thanks. And I bought a book that tell you, give it to the mayor. It tells everything about me, all the reason why I'm so committed to Oklahoma City, northeast side of town, and to Oklahoma. I am so grateful. The city has grown in all these years. It's beautiful. I go to all sides of this whole town every 3 or 4 days. I don't do nothing but ride. It's really grown, it's cleaned up, there's nice places to go, there's plenty of places to go. And I know for the northeast side of town, it's going to take a little time to get things going, and I know y'all going to do it. So I just want to come down and say thank you. In about 2 more weeks, I'm coming back to you, because I have, excuse me, this is Emmanuel, this is my grandson. This is his second city council meeting. I'm training him to be a community leader. He's going to be good. He takes instructions well, and he helps me out with everything. Even some of the parties we give, he holds the little signs up saying kids eat free. People come up and help him. We can have a event for kids with no advertisement. And in our little book, it shows we go on 23rd, we get some property, and we just feed kids. And I know he's going to be the same way I am. I just want to come down and say thank you. And in 2 more weeks, we're coming back. I have one more surprise for you. I got a granddaughter. Boy, she's good. Khalil Kirk. I'm going to bring her. She just won first place in Arkansas. We're going to come back in 2 weeks, and we're going to tell you what she did. Everybody in Oklahoma are going to be proud of her. She did it for our state. So we just want to come say thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Ronnie. Thanks, Emmanuel. You bet. All right, Feng Gao. All right, Michael Washington.
Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I'd like to read something from a pamphlet written and prepared by the Oklahoma City Formal Agenda, City Council meeting 8:30 a.m., January 30, 2018. In the immediate opening of this pamphlet, I will immediately run to the section where it states addressing the council. Citizens may address the City Council during public hearings on any agenda item, such as dilapidated housing, planning, and zoning decisions, but all comments must be relevant to the item. Citizens may also address the council on individual concerns At the end of the agenda, when the mayor announces citizens to be heard, citizens to be heard is not provided as a forum for public announcement of declared candidates for city public office, and they will not be allowed to speak as citizens to be heard. Understandable. Now, according to my understanding of reading, I'm highly intelligent. I'm pretty sure all of you are as well, because you probably wouldn't have allowed them to write this up if it were not so. Now, I have a right, sir, to speak on every agenda item presented. Citizens to be heard is for my time to tell you what I think about me, my community, what I feel needs to be done in relationship to me. You cannot tell me to condense what you have going on. That is preposterous to believe that I have to condense everything that's been said in here. You'll be able to hear it when citizens are to be heard. City manager reports are important to us, that we know about the inner circle and inner workings and infrastructure of our government agencies, facilities, agents, and so forth. This is important for transparency, and I believe it is a blatant attempt on your part, sir, and maybe some cohorts of yours, to keep my voice quiet so that we cannot expose the corruption and evil activity that this committee here is purposely protecting outsiders and making the private pockets of the wealthy more richer while taking the money from the hard-earned citizens who in turn do not understand about what's really going on, and that is not fair. Again, this is a blatant attempt on your part to silence my voice because I'm a community activist, an advocate for right and freedom, justice of the people, who cannot be controlled by government, who cannot be controlled by dollars, who will not be controlled by fear, but who will stand on God's principle to speak to the people as I've been told to speak. This transparency is necessary to run an effective, prosperous government, in that this gives the citizens a chance to understand and appreciate what the city council has to offer them and all the amenities as well as great works that we allegedly have plans. And sir, I'm very disappointed in you, Mr. Municipal Councilor. I mean, that's what you're sitting here for, to give advice on issues, which I believe, sir, even though looking at your phone, I know you hear me. This is very important that you understand as a municipal councilor, you're here to make sure all the citizens are given their rights, sir, and not just be sitting up there because you have a buddy as a mayor here. Okay, you should have easily, if that had been me sitting in your seat, I'd have said, hold up, Mayor. This man has a right to speak on every topic that's brought before us, and his time, his 3 minutes is for him, not to raise issues regarding what's going on here. Sir, and I'm sure you know that, Mr. Kenneth Jordan. If not, then you need to be replaced and put somebody in that seat who does know. No disrespect, just telling it like it is. Now, having said that, I don't know how much time I got left. Just please cut me off.
You don't have much time.
Well, just cut me off, and I'll just tell me. And I'll gladly move.
Sum it up, Michael.
Okay, I'm summing it up right now. Thank you very much. Is that 3 more seconds by you interrupting? Anyhow, now, I believe, like I said, we need more transparency in this government here. This is a government on a city level. You talked about this man here talking about lights not being on the streets. I knew about all that. But at the same time, I'm not going to be always the first one to bring things up. I live on the northeast side. I know it's dark. And I know for the most part that it puts us into very scary situations and circumstances because any and everybody could ride up on you being dark. Are we ready for this? We know how high crime rate here is in Oklahoma. But now why is it on the northeast side? Again, we're the last to get any kind of representation and monies and things that we need. In closing, I believe that we need these issues addressed, because lighting is important for the most part, even when you use your restroom at night, when you cook in your kitchen, when you walk on your front porch to sweep your dirt that may have collected. And that, again, I thank you for this opportunity, and I will be bringing this matter of me not being able to speak on every issue to a court of law. Thank you very much.
John Bates.
I appreciate it. See, I'm not very good.
You need help with it?
Yeah, you want,
okay.
I have a head injury. My name is John Bates. I live at 628 Hunter Hill Road. And my mom is about a half mile away.
I gotta let you.
All right. And my mom lives about half mile away at 608 Penile Road. All right. I'm a drunk. I have a head injury that is the same when I was 16 years old, and I'm weaker citizen, and I have, trouble keeping, and I'm a drunk, but I don't drink and drive because I have a head injury. I'll never drink and drive because I don't want to do that to somebody else. I mean, that's horrible. And I have no speeding tickets. I have a clean driving record, except for one illegal park. Whenever they arrest me for public intoxication, they always put me in solitary. I've only been given a breathalyzer test twice, or 3 times. No, twice, and only took me to the drunk tank, which I thought that's why we had one, to keep it off keep just a drunk that's peaceful from having a record. I thought that was a whole. Okay. I gotta stay on topic. Thank you. They put me in solitary and leave me for hours and hours, and they don't give me the medicine that I'm addicted to. That's for I remember the only time I didn't even know they had a drunk tank on Virginia. I only thought they had one in Bricktown. That's how long ago it was. And because I used to live at the Regency Towers a long time ago, before it got bought by somebody from Seattle or something. But they broke I need protection from the police because the police, they broke 4 of my ribs. They put me in a corner cell with no bed and clogged toilets and no water. And then one time they put me in a cell with no bedroll and no shoes, nothing. And they slammed me down on my back on a steel frame because it doesn't have any pad. There's no pad there. And, well, all I got to say is that if Ice Cube lived here, he'd swarm with any of those. Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right, we have executive session. We'll be back.